Hey, good evening, everybody. It says this Hangout is on the air. Welcome. Uh, Ellen's been struggling. Are you in? I see you. Do you see me? And Rick, would you let me know in the chat? You can see and hear me. Everything's okay. And Nicole, good evening. We have a pretty small group tonight. Oh, I don't know what to tell you. Ellen, can you hear me? I don't know why your screen's still black. Rick, can you see everything okay? I'm sort of waiting for a response. I know there's a big time lag here. So I'm waiting. To see if can anyone see me? Anyone see me? See me? Okay, we'll see if anyone else can see or hear. I'm waiting to see if there's an answer. Okay, Rick says he can see and hear. So Ellen, I don't know what to say. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Ellen? Because I don't know why the screen would be black if you can hear me. Rick can see me. Nicole, are you there? It says you're there, but I don't see you responding. Ellen dropped out. Refresh. Yeah. We'll get started in a minute here. I'm trying to see if I can help Ellen. I don't know why she's having trouble. We'll just give it another minute or so here. She's back in again. I saw her drop out, saw her come back in. I've also got Nicole out there who's not responding, so I don't know if there's a problem with the feed. Everything looks okay at my end. Okay, she says Ellen can see me now. So that's 2 out of 3. I'm going to assume that Nicole can see me or hear me. She's there. The screen went black, so I refreshed. See, that's pretty amazing. I don't know why it's doing that. I'm not doing anything different. I wonder if we're having, well, I don't know. I don't seem to be having any bandwidth issues here right now. The weather is sort of ugly. But, hey, Rick, are you going to be here for the whole presentation? I'm going to guess that we're going to get close to filling the hour, but probably won't go past that. If you're going to be here, then I would like to bring you over, because if people are having trouble, and I won't have any way of knowing that once I go to the PowerPoint, as you know. So the question then is, can I bring you over? And well, even if you're not planning on staying for the whole thing, even if you have to drop on, Rick, I'm going to go ahead and see if I can bring you over. Okay, here we go. Okay, there you go. Okay, good. You should be coming across. So at least I'll have somebody on this side who can be watching what's going on and let me know if something's going wrong. So I'm just sort of waiting right now, Ellen and Nicole. We're waiting for Rick to pop in on this side of the screen, and we'll be good to go. I'm going to try to keep this to less than an hour. There is another webinar at 6 o'clock tonight. I don't know that anyone here is on it. But, hey, Rick, how you doing, buddy?
Cool. Doing well. How are you doing today?
All right. So I'm going to go to screen share, and I guess just let me know if something's going wrong out there. I don't see anything wrong from my side, but let me assume that you can hear and see me. Here we go to the screen share. I assume you can see my screen, and there's the PowerPoint.
Yep, it's showing.
Okay, cool. So we're on our way. Tonight's topic is design, create, and manifest your goals in 2016. And Rick, were you on lunch with Len today?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, I'm going to cover a lot of the same material, but I filled it in and rounded it out, and there are some differences. So hopefully you'll get value out of this. Although my humble opinion is that this stuff is so powerful that it's worth going through hundreds of times. It's like it never gets old. And I learned something one of the reasons I like doing these kinds of webinars is because I learn something new every time I do one. It sinks in. So let's do an exercise. I want you folks that are on this webinar tonight to humor me for just a second. I'm going to ask you to do something. I'm going to ask you to close your eyes and take a couple or three deep breaths. Just relax for a few moments. Relax. And fast forward your mind to January 2017, 1 year from today, roughly. What do you see? Where do you live? Who are you with? What's your business look like? What's your bank account look like? What do your relationships look like? What's your relationship with nature, spirit, other people, your family? Do you like what you see? And if you like what you see, then hang up. You're on your way. But if you don't like what you see, stay with me. Let's try to change what you see and put you on a path for how to get there. So the question is, are you happy with your vision of January 2017? Or do you need to make some corrections? And we're on a sailboat here. So we can either wish for better wind or we can set the sails for a better course. And since we don't have much control over the wind, I suggest we begin to set the sails. So let's move on. For things to change, you have to change. That's really the only way it's going to happen. And Jim Rohn says, getting rich is easy. His 3-step program for getting rich is be in America, find an opportunity, and go to work. Now, Jim has a video that I posted up the other day that he talks about these 3 things. Getting rich in America is easy. It's still the land of opportunity. There's still many, many things that you can do in America to make an income for yourself. But it requires work. And quite honestly and quite frequently, opportunity comes disguised in work clothes. So let's look at this a little bit more deeply for a moment. So the question then becomes, if it's easy, why aren't more people rich? Well, because what's easy to do is easy not to do. People are comfortable being uncomfortable. They're stuck in what I call the familiar zone. They're uncomfortably comfortable in their familiar zone. They're afraid to take risks. They're afraid. They're swayed by negative relatives, fear, overwhelm, confusion, and in many cases, lack of belief in themselves that they can accomplish the goals that they set out for themselves. So we're going to work on a lot of this stuff tonight and try to change. No, not try. Let's not use the word try. We're going to change the way we approach setting our goals for the new year. But why are we programmed into negative thinking? We come into this world as pure energy. We come into this world designed to succeed, yet somehow we get programmed to fail. It starts with our upbringing. By the time you reach the age of 18, you've heard the word no 200,000 times. You've seen 30,000 acts of violence, probably more these days. You've received more than 12 million messages in the form of advertising, telling you how to look, what to eat, how to feel. And we've been taught that if we don't comply with what we're told to do, that somehow we have failed. We've been programmed to feel guilty if we're not just like the Joneses, the guy next door. And we got to change that, because you know the reality is entrepreneurs aren't like the guy next door. What do? We install new software. We got to update that program, erase the negativity, replace it with positive thinking and definiteness of purpose. So here we go. What do you want out of life? And here's the question. I'm not sure why you showed up tonight, but this is the question. And by the way, this is a slide that I borrowed from my friends Adam Chandler and Justice Egan in their 2016 Biz Builder Challenge. I just happen to like the picture, but here's the question. Do you spend your evenings in front of the television, or are you spending your evenings working on your dream, your big dream? And what are you doing with your time? Where do you want to go with your life? And by the way, I'm also going to make the observation to you, and this is the only time I'll mention it tonight. So this is not a selling webinar. I have nothing to sell tonight at all, but I'm going to say this. Adam and Justice are offering this thing called the Biz Builder Challenge for 2016. It is inside MLSP, but if you're an MLSP Mastery member, it is free. And the value that they are putting into this is beyond anything I've ever seen before. It blew my mind when I understood what they were doing. And so I'm going to tell you, if you're on this webinar, you ought to be in this challenge. It's not just the challenge itself, it's all the other extras that are coming along with it. They've got all the recordings of the Colorado Mastermind last year, the Mastermind Retreat, and so much other stuff that there's just enormous value. I'm not trying to sell you this. I don't earn any money if you get into the Biz Builder Challenge, so I'm just telling you it's there, and there's a lot to it. So let's go on. I'm going to tell you a story about a guy named Brian. You probably know who he is. When Brian was a broke musician and seriously in debt, he wrote himself a check for $1 million and put it in his wallet. He dated the check for 3 years later. Now, get this picture in your mind. A broke musician, $30,000 in debt, writing himself a check for $1 million and dating it 3 years later. He had no idea how he was going to accomplish that feat, but he put it out there to the universe. There's a copy of the check. He still carries it in his wallet. If you look carefully, and for those of you who know Brian, this is Bryant Finales, the co-founder of MLSP. There's his check, March in 96, and it was for $1 million. Fast forward 3 years, he failed to reach his goal of $1 million. He was not able to cash his check. He only had $962,009.13 in his checking account. Now, would you call that a success or a failure? I think I'd call it pretty successful. What do you think? He only had $962,000. And when he wrote this check and put it in his wallet, he had no idea how he was going to get this done. And here's a quick summary. In March 25, March of 2005, he found the MLM profession. He went $30,000 in debt in his first 3 years. He met the other co-founder, Norb and Todd of MLSP in 2008. They started the business, and the rest is history. Right now, it's a $28 million business, and he anticipates it going to $40 million in 2016. And he had $962,000 in his checking account in March of 2009, 3 years after he had written the check. How did he do it? Law of attraction, goal setting, meditation, and intending. He did it with many of the things that we've been teaching and are teaching in the mastermind, in the wealth building mastermind that you've been participating in. So let's look at some of the details of how we take ourselves from a pipe dream with no idea of how we're going to achieve it to accomplishing what is seemingly impossible. This is Brian's words. This is one of his slides from a presentation he did recently. His secret: constant focus, mental rehearsal, meditation, and goal setting. And never, ever, ever quitting. Never giving up on his big dream, no matter how tough it got. He was over 2 years in and still nowhere near his goal, but he didn't quit. He didn't give up. And that, if there is any one secret to success, It is never giving up. Remember, the difference between success and failure is the guy that succeeded was the guy that failed and got up and tried one more time. You can't fail until you quit swinging the bat. Now, in one of the earlier webinars in this Wealth Building Mastermind, we talked about the core skills of receiving, and I want to remind you about them because you're going to see these skills weave throughout Brian's story of what he did. I'm going to tell you more of Brian's story, but I'm going to remind you of the core skills of receiving. First one, got to love yourself. Why is that? Well, why would you bust your butt and work hard for somebody you didn't care about, somebody you didn't love? If you don't love yourself, you're not going to take care of yourself. But if you do love yourself, you're going to do all the right things for yourself. And those may include things like the right kind of food, the right kind of diet, the right kind of exercise. They may include setting the right goals for yourself and going after those goals. We also, in that webinar on the core skills of receiving, talked about anchor behavior, anchoring yourself with a behavior that can spin you from a bad mood to a good mood virtually instantaneously. And if there's anyone on here who wasn't in that webinar, I suggest you go back and look at it again. If you were there, I suggest you go back and look at it again anyhow, because these core skills are essential to success in your life. Quieten your mind. Find a way to get the crap out of your brain and let the pure thoughts in. Let the universe in. Let God in. Let your spiritual side in. Meditation, for many people, meditation. And you might say to me, well, you know, I tried this meditation stuff. It really didn't work. My brain runs around in circles like a runaway freight train. And yeah, that's true. It takes practice to learn how to clear your brain of the thoughts that are interfering with your success. It takes practice. And then intending your day and closing your day. Part of the daily routine that we do every day in this Wealth Building Plus Mastermind, intending your day, closing your day. Watch how these ideas weave through Brian's story. Now, there's a set of universal laws that we have to work with. And that is, the first one of those is that thoughts become things. There's now ample evidence that we know that thoughts manifest themselves in the physical universe. We have many examples of this in our life. How many times has somebody said, be careful what you think about, you just might get it? Well, you do get it. And in what we're now perceiving as the quantum view of the universe, all potentials exist. If you look forward in time, in what we think of as time, anything is possible. Everything is there. Every possible state exists. And you have to find the one that matches you and your vibration. Now, this is deep and heavy stuff. If any of you have seen the movie, What the Bleep Do We Know Anyhow? There's a lot of this concept in that movie. And we're learning more and more that the universe really does work this way. Everything's energy. What we want is a certain frequency, a vibration, and if we can get our vibration, our frequency matched to what we want, then we attract the thing to us. The law of attraction is always working. It's just like the law of gravity. If you're standing on the ground, the law of gravity is working for you, and if you jump off the Empire State Building, it's working against you. Well, unless you intended to kill yourself. The law of attraction is always working too. It's just that a lot of people use the law of attraction to get what they don't want, instead of getting what they do want. Well, let's work on that a little bit more tonight. So now, again, this may seem a little bit, oh, what's he talking about? You got to create the future in advance. Done properly, our goals can create our future. You have to convince your mind, your body, your brain that the event has already occurred. And you say, how can I do that? Hang in there. Stay with me. We need to overwhelm your present circumstances with thoughts and beliefs of what you want. You cannot make excuses for why you are where you are. If you do that, then you're going to stay where you are. You're stuck. You're living with what is instead of with what can be. And if you can begin to meditate, if you can begin to change the thinking, you can become a different person. We now know beyond any shadow of a doubt, it's measurable, that your physiology and your biochemistry change when you change your thoughts. And I'm going to give you a couple of sources in a minute to go get further information. But once you have created your future in your mind, firmly created it in your mind with belief, the event or the goal finds you. It's looking for you. What you want is looking for you. But you have to match it vibrationally. So, a lot of people go, oh, hogwash, I know this stuff. Really? You know, don't say I've heard this gold stuff before. Here's the problem, part of the problem. Most people say when they get X, then they'll feel Y. So one of the classic examples is, I'll learn to manage money when I have some money to manage. I don't have any money to manage. How can I learn to manage money? Well, when I have $1 million, I'll act like a millionaire. So I have a question for you, just out of curiosity. Why do people who win the lotto end up broke? Just curious. Because they don't know how to manage money. They didn't have any, they had very little, and they didn't learn to manage what they had, and somehow with luck they ended up with a lot more, and they still didn't know how to manage it. They didn't learn how to manage their money when they got their money, they blew it. And I have a personal friend that just won a fairly substantial settlement not too many weeks ago, and he was all excited before this settlement about all the things he was going to do with it. And guess what he did with it? He spent it all. He's broke again. He's back in the poorhouse again. And he's lamenting the fact that he got his settlement and he doesn't have a clue where it all went. He never learned how to manage it. He didn't earn it. He didn't deserve it. So he didn't keep it. The concept that you can learn to manage money after you acquire it is not valid. If that concept was valid, lotto winners, and I put lotto whiners there intentionally. That was not a misspelling. Lotto whiners would still have some money. They don't. Now, if you want to learn a lot more about the mind-body connection, I'll recommend Dr. Joe Dispenza. He has spent many years researching the mind-body connection. He's the author of several books, including You Are the Placebo, and he's got an interesting TED Talk, and he's got a whole bunch of other interesting interviews out there on YouTube. You can go look him up. He's one source. There are many. But he's particularly intriguing because a number of years ago, he got ran over by a big truck, and they predicted that he would never walk again. And he's walking again. It took him 12 weeks to walk again. And he walked again without the surgery that 4 different surgeons said he had to have. So he's an interesting study in the mind-body connection, and he has gone on to research the mind-body connection. A lot of interesting material there. We don't have the time to go into it in a 1-hour webinar or 1 hour or less webinar tonight. But here's the secret. The old model of the universe that we were raised with is cause and effect. I push on something, it moves. I set an object in motion, it stays in motion. Newtonian physics. The new model is quantum physics. It's cause and effect. And notice the difference in the words cause and effect up above and cause and effect below. Thought. Your thoughts can cause an effect. They can cause a physical change in the universe. And the next statement is going to be a hard one for you to wrap your mind around. You've got to get your body and brain ahead of the event, and I'm going to tell you more about what that means. And it means you become the person now. And we've said this before many times, be, do, have. You can't get this backwards. It's the same idea a moment ago. The person who says he will learn to manage money when he has some has it backwards. If he doesn't learn to manage the money he has, the universe will not give him any more to manage. There's a story about a young child who goes into the ice cream shop with his parent, and the parent buys him an ice cream cone with a single scoop of ice cream, and the child walks out the front door of the ice cream shop and promptly dumps the ice cream out of his cone onto the ground. He's still got the cone in his hand, just doesn't have any ice cream in it. The parent takes him back into the shop, but now the child sees the sign with the ice cream cone with 3 scoops. And he starts to clamor, I want 3 scoops. Mom, Dad, I want 3 scoops. And the answer is no. You just demonstrated that you can't manage 1 scoop. We're not going to get you 3 scoops. That's the way the universe plays. If you don't learn how to manage what you got, it ain't going to give you any more to play with. All right, so now let's play a game, shall we? Step 1, get out a piece of paper and a pencil. Go ahead, humor me. Humor you. Got a pencil? Got a piece of paper? Maybe I should have told you in the beginning to get a pad and a paper. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to write down a goal. Let's pick a 90-day goal. By April 15th, 2016, I am a pick something. You don't have to do this one. You don't have to make yourself a $2,000 or $1,000 or a $10,000 a month earner. Just pick a goal, any goal. These are 3 different examples. By April 15th, 2016, I am a umpty-ump dollar per month earner. By April 15th, 2016, I have helped, name your number, people earn their first $100 online. I have helped people earn their money. If you're in a network marketing company and you're helping your downline, who are you helping? Remember, Zig Ziglar told us we can get everything we want if we help enough other people get what they want. So one of the ways we get what we want is we help other people. Maybe you're overweight and you're trying to lose weight. By April 15th, I have released 20 pounds. Now, whatever your goal is, make it reasonable. If you've never earned a penny online, don't write down I'm $1 million earner by April 15th. It ain't going to work. Make it reasonable. Your goals should stretch you, but they should be reasonable. You got to put a modicum of reason to it. So, okay, pick a number. Maybe for your first goal here, it's going to be a small number. I'm earning $100 a month. I'm earning $500 a month. I don't know what your number is. It's okay. Pick a number that you feel stretches you a bit, but is within your grasp. Step 2, and let me actually just shut up for a minute and let you write this down. And after the webinar tonight, you can go back and revisit this and rethink it a little bit. So let's go on to step 2. Why do you want this goal? That's the fuel. You know, some ideas, because it'll help me quit my job and be with my family, because I want to travel. And this is one of mine, because I want to travel in my RV and show people a better way to be free. And those of you who know me know that I'm all about lifestyle. I'm about skiing and RVing and traveling and water skiing and hiking and scuba diving. I mean, I just love to do things. That may not be what you want. That's okay. You don't have to want what I want. Because I want to have energy to play with my 3-year-old. That aligns up with why I might want to lose 20 pounds. Why you might want to lose 20 pounds, or anyone who's writing these might want to lose weight. Anyhow, write your reason down. Step 2, why do you want the goal that you wrote in step 1? What's your big reason? And remember, keep it reasonable. Keep it believable. Don't write down, I want $1 million because I want to save my charity or my church or something. If you've never earned a penny online, it's not going to happen. $1 million might be 3 or 5 years away. It's not 3 months away. All right, step 3. Who, and here's the critical one, who must you become in order to reach this goal? Now you got to stop and think about this one for a minute. How does this person talk, walk, act? What does he or she do every day? How do they think? How do they treat others? What's important? So let's reflect back for a moment. If my goal were to help 5 people earn their first $100 online, what do I have to be doing every day? Well, first off, I have to find those people. So I'm going to have to get online. I'm going to have to connect. I'm going to have to talk. Remember, 8 or 9 or 10 people you talk to don't have any interest in what you're doing. So you got to talk to a lot of talk to a lot of frogs to find a prince. And after you find those people, then you have to help them. So what are you doing every day? What are you doing that will move you towards your goal? If it's weight loss, what are you doing every day to move you toward the goal? What's your diet look like? What is your activity level look like? Are you going for that walk? Are you going to the gym? Are you doing the things you need to do to achieve the result? Are you being the person? See, if your goal was to lose 20 pounds, what would that person do? When you've lost that 20 pounds, you'd be working out every day, wouldn't you? You'd be eating proper food every day, wouldn't you? Well, start today. Start to be the person. And you say, well, I'm overweight and I'm out of shape. I can't work out. Yes, you can. When I say work out, I don't mean go to the gym, get on the treadmill and run 10 miles. If you've been sedentary for the last 5 years, you might just walk around the parking lot of the gym on your first day. But you can start. Start within your comfort zone. Back to our Wealth Builders Mastermind. We've been encouraging you to put money in your financial freedom account every day, even if it's only a penny. Why? Because we're building the habit. Someday, when you have more money, you can put a dime in, or $1, or 5, or 10. For today, we're building the habit. So if you're overweight and out of shape, you don't start by going to the gym and running 10 miles on the treadmill. Maybe you start by walking around the parking lot. Maybe you walk around the treadmill and look at it. And maybe you get on the treadmill next week. You start within your comfort zone, but you start. If you don't start, you won't get there. Step 4, how could you get there? And don't get too hung up on the how. If your conscious mind knew exactly how you would get there, you would already have it. But you need to get started. So once again, you got to take that first step. Remember that journey of 1,000 miles began with that first step. Got to take the first step. You got to get started. And finally, step 5, action. You must get up. Now listen to these words. You must get up every day. Not some days, not a few days, not every other day, not a couple days a week. Every day, and work towards your goal. And it starts with your daily action sheets. And now remember, as part of the Wealth Building Mastermind, we've been giving you these daily action sheets. Why do you think we're doing this? Because this is what it takes for you to change your life. This is a direct copy of your morning exercises off your daily action sheets. Before you even get out of bed, wake up, express gratitude, set your intentions, take those deep breaths, smile, forgive yourself. Don't beat yourself up for anything you're not happy about yesterday. Let it go. Don't live in the past. Review and visualize your goals and your long-term objectives. What are you trying to accomplish? And then end up your day with the daily wrap-up. At bedtime, acknowledge your successes for the day. What did you do? What did you do today that you're happy with? Who are you grateful for? Once again, reviewing, visualizing your goals, your long-term objectives, and intending tomorrow. If you don't do these things, you won't achieve your objectives, and you do have to do them consistently and daily. Remember the story I told you about the astronauts with the upside down glasses? That when they wore the glasses, if you were on that webinar, when they put on these upside down glasses, and this experiment has been repeated in lots of different ways, but when they put on the upside down glasses that made the world appear upside down, they were of course initially totally disoriented. But then after between 21 and I forget the other number, around 28, 29, 30 days, Everyone's world flipped right side up again, even though they were still wearing the upside down glasses. Their brain compensated those glasses and flipped them upside down. But the important message was that if they quit wearing the glasses, took them off, even for a few moments, at any time in the process reset. There was a new day one. It is important to build this memory, to build this muscle, that you do these things every day, not just occasionally, not just a few days, not a couple days a week, every day. Now, the slides in front of you, the next few slides are actually Bryant Finales' words coming to you. How did he do it? Watch this stuff weaving through. Make it a fun game. Create your destiny. Every single day for at least 10 minutes, preferably much longer, flood your body and brain with emotion, gratitude. How would you feel when you achieved the goal? Intend your day. Decide who are you going to be. Take control of your thoughts. Done properly, you become a different person. Neural connections, new physiology, new frequency. Notice the emphasis on every single day, flooding your body and brain with emotion. Why don't affirmations work? They're still words on a chalkboard, unless you can couple the feelings and the emotions with them. How will you feel when you have achieved your goal? How will that feel? Close your eyes, see it, feel it, bring it to you, attract it, bring it to you. Anchor it. Repetition and conditioning. Become the person now. So if you want to lose 20 pounds, become the person today who's lost the weight. Again, how do you do that? You say, well, I can't, I'm overweight. Yes, you can. What would that person be doing every day? If you had the money that you're dreaming of having, what would you do every day? I know one of the things that I realized a long time ago for me is that if I were, quote, financially free, end of quote, one of the things that I would do is go to the gym. Well, so I go to the gym, okay? Anchor your behaviors. And one of the things that Brian recommends is putting an anchor in your pocket, on your keychain, or in your wallet, like his check that he wrote to himself for $1 million. Carry it everywhere, feel it. Let it be a constant reminder of what you're trying to accomplish. Put sticky notes everywhere to remind yourself, again, of what you're trying to accomplish. And this is a quote from Brian, when you are not consciously engaged with someone or something, you should be 100% focused on the goal and the feeling you will have when you get there. The feelings are huge and they are the secret. Think about that for a moment. When you are not consciously engaged with someone or something, you should be 100% focused on your goal and the feelings when you get there. Envision it. Once again, bring it to you. Why do most people fail? Very simple. Most people won't do it consistently. Most people don't truly believe they can achieve the goal. They say they believe it, but they're letting their past program their future. They're letting their failures, their perceived failures from their past, interfere with their belief that they can achieve the goal that they want. They let their past and their present circumstances crush them. Unfortunately, most people's bodies are actually chemically addicted and conditioned to run programs of overwhelm, unworthy, guilt, sadness, not enough. Our brains have been conditioned to negativity by our past, our upbringing, and perhaps to an extent by our DNA. We still have somewhat of a fight or flight mechanism active in our bodies, even though that mechanism was designed to protect us from pterodactyls or something thousands of years ago. There's still remnants of it there. And these things get in the way. This is why we have to flush all of this stuff out on a daily basis. If we don't pull the weeds and flush out the crap, it will interfere with our ability to get where we want to go. So how do you change? It's easy to say, you got to be greater than the past and present circumstances. And what does that mean? It means become conscious, become aware of the people, the circumstances, the thoughts, and the behaviors that trigger your negative emotions and stop them. Write them down. What do I mean by write them down? Are there people in your life that when you see them, you have a negative reaction? Are there circumstances that cause you to react negatively? Write them down, become aware of them, and then begin to change them. And how do you begin to change them? You begin to program yourself to think differently. I had a personal issue growing up with a parent, and it took me many, many years to program that out of me so I don't have it anymore. And I won't go through the details tonight, but it takes time. These things take time. Can't expect it to happen in 30, 60, 90 days, but you can expect it to happen. But you have to be consistent, persistent. Ask yourself, what is it costing you to feel the negativity that you feel? Write it down and begin to clear it out. So we're asking you now to become an observer. Know that you are not your beliefs, your thoughts, or even your values. Learn to become the observer and wave these unwanted thoughts by. So when you say, well, I'm a $5,000 a month earner by pick a date, your conscious brain says, no, you're not. No, you're not. You can't do that. That doesn't happen to you. Our family didn't do that. Nobody in our family ever did that. You don't know how to do that. Your response is to say thank you for that observation. Now go back to sleep because I'm working on my goal and I intend to get there. That's your response. And if you do that, sooner or later, your brain will simply quit. It will break the synaptic connections to those negative thoughts. Watch the TED Talk that I recommended earlier. Your brain will actually break the synaptic connections to those negative thoughts if you keep substituting positive thoughts and keep pushing the negative thoughts aside. It will break the connections. You can reprogram your brain. Consistent daily rehearsal, meditation, and practice of feeling the feelings of having achieved the goal and being the person now are the things that will help you overcome the negative thoughts when they try to creep in. Does this all make sense? Is this too much to swallow in one night? I hope it's making sense. So, the next step is to take 100% responsibility. I've said this before, we've talked about it. 99% responsible is not good enough. You must be 100% responsible for where you are now in your life. It doesn't matter what your upline did or your downline did or your neighbors did or your relatives did or your mom or your dad or your sisters, your uncle, your aunt. None of that matters. You have to take 100% responsibility for where you are. And if you feel stuck, it's your unconscious programming running the show. You got to shut it down. You got to recondition your autonomic conditioning through meditation and goal setting. Again, meditation, goal setting, clearing your brain, getting positive thoughts in there, pushing the negative thoughts out, pulling the weeds, throwing them away. And now what happens if you miss the goal? Well, that's okay. Did you grow? Did you take action? Did you learn? If you're growing and you're taking action and you're learning, move on and just set a new goal and keep going. Are you going to hit every goal? Like Brian didn't quite hit his goal. He got close. He didn't quite hit it. That's okay. If you set your goal to be a few $100s a month in 3 months and you don't quite get to a few $100s a month, maybe you get to something smaller, but you've learned, you've grown, you're clearing out your mind, you pulled the weeds. It just means you had a lot of weeds to pull. It's okay. Don't beat yourself up. Keep going. Move on. Know that if you continue with this process, what you want will find you. You are on the path. Now, here's another biggie. You got to have a wealthy mindset. To be wealthy, you have to believe you are wealthy. You can't become wealthy if you are focused on lack. Let me say that again. You cannot become wealthy if you're focused on lack. If you question your ability to achieve your goals, your subconscious mind kicks in and says, okay, we'll do it your way. Yeah, I don't care. I'm not going to fight you. Do you understand that? If you question your ability, your brain shuts down, quits working. If you say, I can't do that, your brain shuts down. It quits working. We talked about this in a webinar on language a few weeks ago. I can't means my brain just went to sleep. It's not going to work on the problem anymore. Get uncomfortable, stretch, and stay there. You don't have to know all the hows of what it takes for you to achieve your goal. You just have to get started. Write it down. Something magical happens. You become the creator. Journaling is an awesome way to help yourself. Journaling what you do on a daily basis. At night before you go to bed, instead of just thinking about who you're grateful for and what you're happy with today, write it down. I have a journal. I actually write these things down. I write them down every night. I write them down every morning. Once you're being the new person, it will all fall into place divinely. So that's the sequence. By the way, that new person would be taking the required daily action, whether it's going to the gym or eating healthy or making those phone calls or generating those leads or talking to that customer or that prospect, whatever the actions are. The person you want to become would be taking those actions every day, because they wouldn't be that person if they weren't doing the thing. Remember, you have to be and do to have. Can't get it backwards. Be, do, have. Now, if you think it, you can do it. Remember, if you can conceive it and believe it, you can achieve it. You would not have the thought if you couldn't achieve it. It's within you to achieve whatever you think about. You just have to build that belief. In a prior webinar, we discussed self-love as necessary to receive. And I mentioned it earlier in this one. By writing and going after your goals, you will learn to love and respect yourself more. So think about that for a moment. If you write down your goals and go after them, you will learn to love and respect yourself more. This is a positive feedback system. You write down your goals, you go after them vigorously, you work on them every day, you make progress, you feel better about yourself, and now you feel better about writing your goals, and now you can write down bigger goals and go after bigger ones. This is a positive feedback system, but if you let yourself get caught in the negativity of your current circumstances, the ship sinks, takes on water, founders, and sinks. And yes, it is, the word founder is correct. That's what the Titanic did. It foundered, it didn't flounder. Flounder is a fish. A lot of people misuse that word. The Titanic foundered. But if you do these things, you will see change in yourself. You look in the mirror every day and you'll feel like a new person, a different person, a better person, a bigger person, a more loving person, a more caring person, a more charismatic person, a more grateful person. You can change now. So one final thought. It's not the thing that's important. Why do you want the thing? Whatever your thing is, why do you want it? Mostly, it's because it'll make us feel good. It'll make us feel better. We usually go after the things we want because it's a feeling we're after. I want to lose 20 pounds because I want to play with my kids, and I'll feel better if I play with my kids. Okay, play with your kids now. Maybe you can't run quite as fast or as hard as you want to, but you can still play with them. You don't have to run hard to play Monopoly, but you can play with them. Generate the feelings now of what you want to feel when you get the thing you want. It's the person you become in the process that's important. It's not the thing that you get. If it was a thing that you get, the guy that won the lotto would be happy. He wouldn't be broke and out of money again. It wasn't the thing that he wanted. Unfortunately, he didn't know how to handle the thing that he got, so he lost it. Only the person you become can do that. Only the person you become can make you happy. So find beauty and live in the now. Live in the now. Find beauty in everything, every day. Be ecstatic, be grateful, be happy, be jubilant. Raise your vibration. Get it out of the muck. Get it out of the negativity. You can do that. And what we really always want is the feeling. So why wait? Why wait to get the thing to have the feeling that you want to have? Have it now. You can have it now, the feeling. Just figure out what it is and you can have it. And remember, if you go back to the webinar on how to receive, where I describe in detail how to create an anchor behavior, you can anchor any feeling you want. You can learn to anchor any feeling you want in your life, and you can do it now. So this is the last slide of this webinar. You are awesome. I believe in you. You are a winner. You are enough. Thank you for attending. And I trust that you got value. And I'm going to come back off the screen share now, end the slideshow. And with a little luck, I'm just going to come off the screen share. And here I am. And Nicole, Rick, Lynn, Bill. Hello, Bill. Welcome aboard, buddy. By the way, I forgot to mention to you, and my apologies, Bob, if you ever watch this, I apologize. Why isn't Bob here tonight? Because he's canoeing across his living room. If you followed the saga, Bob has a flooding problem at his house. And a piece of his flooding problem is also wrapped up in his computer capability right now. Bob just can't be here tonight. Bob's bailing water. Let's just leave it at that. So, Ellen, I'm glad you persisted too. Does anybody else have any comments, questions, criticisms, suggestions, especially questions? And if not, we'll call it a night. Rick, you're muted. Can you unmute? And
Yes, sir.
did everything come through okay, I assume?
Yep, everything went very well.
Cool, okay. Does anyone else out there have any comments? Otherwise, we'll just shut it down. And oh, by the way, one final comment, and again, I don't make any money off this. I'm not selling it, but I am in it. Adam and Justice have a webinar in 6 minutes tonight. It's one of their ongoing webinars about the sequence, about the challenge, and all of the webinars they're loaded with tons of free information, free material. So they're worth attending. Anyhow, that's all I have. I hope you folks have a wonderful night. Somebody dropped off. That's all right. And again, I don't see any more comments, so I'm just going to go ahead and stop the broadcast. Oh, and let me tell you, you've got to put next week on your calendar today, now, book it. Yeah, the webinar link isn't up yet, But I believe, I have confirmation that we indeed have Noel St. John next week live with us in person, live and in person, Noel St. John next Thursday. So put it on your calendar and watch for the link. As soon as Bob and I are back communicating again and he's not underwater, we'll get this all confirmed for next week. So, all righty, you folks have a wonderful night. Talk again. Bye for now.